Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to Sunshine Detour. I am Rick, joined as always by my co-host and the only person I trust to hold the map when we're navigating Epcot at closing time, Danielle.
That's me. And folks, it is episode 42, which means Rick and I have now survived 42 separate theme park adventures together, and somehow we are still on speaking terms. It is April 2026, and the news we have been waiting weeks to announce, spring break is over.
If you listen carefully right now, you can hear the collective exhale coming from every cast member, every parking attendant, and every local who just wants to grab a Dole Whip without waiting 45 minutes in line. Spring break has officially packed its bags, loaded up the rental minivan, and headed back to wherever it came from. And look, we love the energy. We love that families are making memories. We are not anti-tourist on this podcast. But there is a version of Central Florida in mid-April post-spring break, pre-summer humidity death spiral. That is genuinely one of the most enjoyable times of year to be in the parks. And that is what we are here to talk about today. I had 3 separate people try to merge into my lane on I-4 last Tuesday without using a turn signal. And one of them was driving a car with an Ohio plate and a world's best grandma bumper sticker. So I just took a breath and said, okay, this is the last week. It is almost over.
It is 100% the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, not overrun with strollers the size of small SUVs. The crowds are thinning, the wait times are dropping, and you can actually make eye contact with a cast member and have a real conversation, instead of watching them frantically point 12 different families in 12 different directions simultaneously. We have a great show for you today. We are doing a full debrief on the Buzz Lightyear refresh at Magic Kingdom. We have a Big Thunder Mountain construction update from the fence line. Yes, we are those people now. And we did a full food crawl through the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival. Plus, we're going to talk about catching Luminous in the evening, which, if you have not done that in a low-crowd environment, you are truly missing out. So, let's get into it.
We spent our Monday over at the Magic Kingdom, specifically in Tomorrowland. And we have to talk about the massive refresh over at Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. We had been planning this trip for about 3 weeks because we knew the refresh was supposed to be done by mid-April, and we wanted to be among the first wave of regulars to give it a proper review. Not just a quick ride and done, we rode it 4 times. 4 times in one afternoon. Rick kept saying just one more for data purposes.
Okay, so for context for our newer listeners, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin has been at Magic Kingdom since 1998. It is one of those classic interactive dark rides where you sit in a spinning vehicle and shoot targets with a laser cannon to rack up points. The concept is based on the Toy Story franchise, and for years it was genuinely beloved. But in recent years, and I am talking probably the last 4 or 5 years, it had gotten a little rough around the edges. And I say that with love. Half the targets just didn't register your hits anymore. The sensors were clearly degraded. You would nail a shot dead center and nothing would happen. And some of the scenes, particularly the Zurg battle at the end, the paint had faded and some of the props were visibly worn. It still had charm, but it needed work. And Disney heard the feedback because this refresh, they really delivered.
So let me walk through the changes because there are several. First and most obvious, all of the targets have been replaced or recalibrated. Every single one we shot at registered. Every single one. And there are new targets in scenes where there were none before. They added a whole secondary layer to the Zurg battle sequence that was not there previously, including some moving targets that require you to actually track and lead your shot. But the biggest game changer for me personally, the detachable laser guns.
Oh, here we go. I knew this was coming. Rick has been talking about this since we left the parking lot on Monday.
It absolutely matters, and I will not apologize. Look, the old setup had the laser cannon mounted on a fixed pivot on the dashboard of your vehicle, which sounds fine in theory, but in practice, it meant that if you wanted to hit a target that was slightly below your sight line, you had to lean over the entire console like you were trying to grab something out of the back seat while driving. It was awkward. It caused shoulder strain. I am not exaggerating. The new guns detach. You hold them like an actual blaster. You have full range of motion. And this is the part that sounds small but is actually huge. You get a visible laser dot on the target now. A bright, clear dot. So you can see exactly where you are aiming before you pull the trigger. No more staring at the screen going, is that red speck my laser or somebody else's? You know exactly where your shot is going. It fundamentally changes the experience. And for those of you who ride with a partner, whether that is a spouse, a sibling, a best friend, whoever your person is, the dashboard now has a side-by-side live score display. You can see your score and your partner's score updating in real time as you ride. It also tracks your hit count and your accuracy percentage, which is a feature I very much appreciated because it gave me objective data to work with. Rick, why don't you tell our listeners what your accuracy percentage was on the first ride? It was it was in a developmental phase. It was the first ride. I was recalibrating to the new gun system. But here's why my score looked the way it looked. They added hidden targets. These tiny, almost invisible glowing batteries tucked into the corners of the Zerg battle scene. They are easy to miss if you are not looking for them. Each one is worth 100,000 points. 100,000. So if you know where they are and you hit them, your score goes through the roof. I was spending time trying to locate those instead of just blasting everything I saw like some people. And those hidden targets are not marked on any official guide. We found out about them from a cast member who was clearly a theme park insider, and it genuinely added a whole meta layer to the ride. We are going to put the locations in our show notes this week because that is the kind of service journalism we provide on this podcast.
The Flower and Garden Festival is in full swing, and honestly, the topiaries this year are unbelievable.
Stop, I'm leaving the booth.
You really need to plant yourself there this weekend. But seriously, the Honey Bistro booth? That honey glazed cauliflower changed my life.
I'm more of a trowel and trellis guy. But fair warning, Test Track is still pulling massive wait times. Even with spring break over, that reimagined queue, the one that looks like a futuristic design studio, is packed. If you do brave the Test Track line, stay for the evening. The daily nighttime show, Luminous, over the lagoon, is the perfect way to wrap up.
It hits different when the park isn't shoulder to shoulder. You can actually grab a spot in Japan or Italy and enjoy the music without someone's iPad in your line of sight.
It's the perfect reset before you have to go back out those gates and fight the I-4 traffic back home.
Thanks for joining us on this detour. We'll see you in the parks. Stay hydrated, keep your blasters ready, and we'll see you in the parks.